Welcome to another edition of the Let's Be Frank Show. My name is Frank Mentone. I'm the publisher of the Totucket Times. I'm also a board member of TotoketTV, which brings you the Let's Be Frank Show and many other informative items on the public access television. And part of what we do on the board is we like to it seems like a dying art, the filming process, even to get people to come on and do a show, to bring some things to the public is sometimes difficult. But what we like to do is we like to work in conjunction with the school system and help to teach some of the youngsters at the high school to learn these products and learn how to do some of this stuff. With that, I'd like to introduce my guest this evening is Nick DeLizio, who's the video production teacher at North Branford High School. And Nick is also a board member. We added him on the board. So Nick, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
First thing maybe we can talk about is how did you get into this? Because again, we're trying to get kids to do it. How did you start doing it?
I started, what really got my attention to get into video production and all that stuff was actually when I was a student at North Branford High School. I knew they had their own classroom and they had their own studio in the back of the library at the time. And I thought it was so cool coming in as a freshman to watch the morning announcements and how much fun the kids were having. And I was like, I want to be in that class. I want to take that class because I think it's going to be fun and I know I would enjoy it. And when I finally got into the class, you start doing filming the news, you start making all these little news packages, commercials and stuff, and I'm like, you know what, this is something I want to pursue. So from there, I went to Eastern Connecticut State University, and I majored in communications, and they pretty much gave me the education that I needed to, fulfill what I'm doing now. And that's how I got interested.
Now, did you do that? Was that like a direct path, right? Because you have like 100 different talents. You're like the North Branford product here. Nick is a seasoned musician. Plays with a couple of bands or just one now?
I play with one mainly, and I fill in for another one.
And we'll get on a few other things that he does. You were an athlete in high school. You played some. Little bit of baseball and
baseball and basketball.
Basketball, and so when you got out of high school, was it directly I'm going to school to learn communications, or did you do something else first? Or
that was my goal. My goal was to go to a school that had a good program. That was pretty important to me, and Eastern kind of fit perfect for what I was looking for, and I just kind of got involved with obviously taking the classes, but also the TV club there that they had, and that was kind of like an internship throughout the start of my sophomore year. It's kind of every Thursday we would go and we would put on a show for the student body, and everybody had different roles. And if you were a sophomore, you kind of be a reporter, but as you move up, you could become an anchor, producer, director. And so by the time I was a senior, I was the sports producer and director of everything and the head reporter, along with a buddy of mine, and we went along and we did, we filmed various games, we did Athlete of the Week all the time, we got in touch with the coaches, the sports information department, and that was a lot of fun. And right then and there, I was like, you know what, this is something that, I can get into. When I got out of college, it was like very competitive, the market was down for jobs, so I started working in the school system, and little by little, working with the kids, it kind of, built an interest in me, and that's how I started getting involved and took some teaching courses, and that's pretty much where I am right now, how I got the job.
Right, because originally you were a substitute teacher, right?
Yes.
And you were like all over the place as a substitute teacher.
I was all over the place. I was in all the different buildings, and slowly I kind of got into the high school as a long-term sub. I was doing, fill-ins for various teachers for a while, and in school suspension, anything to get the foot in the door there. And while something opened up, and it's a blessing that something opened up right in the high school. And it's pretty cool to work in the same high school that you went to show the North Branford pride.
So when did you get this job as the, as the video production teacher?
Video production teacher, it was official in the, I believe, what was it, the fall of 2013.
So you've been doing this,
This
this
will
will be your second or your
It's my third
year?
year.
All right.
Yep.
And I mean, how is it different? What are the classes that students are able to attend? What are the different classes? Now, do you teach all of the classes in that one particular subject, or like I'm familiar, when I went to high school, there was an English teacher, and one of them taught grammar, and one of them taught Edgar Allan Poe, and the other one, taught you how to be quiet, so you wouldn't get in trouble.
You weren't that kind of guy, right?
But not me. So do you teach all of the?
I teach all the classes, and the classes are, right now we have 3 courses we provide. The first one, the intro level course, is a video production course. In that course, students learn, they get a little history lesson on how, video communication started, how the TV was invented, the radio, all that stuff, because that leads up to where we are now with the technology that we have, from the internet to YouTubes to the cell phones and all the cameras now. I mean, you can go back 20 years ago and cameras were, you can see that they were this big, but the quality wasn't so great. But you can buy a camera now that's this big, 6 inches, and the quality is amazing. So you can see how far we've come, and it's a field that we kind of teach that it's always growing. It's a rapidly growing field, and along with going on with learning the history, we learn obviously the different parts of the camera, how to use the camera, because a lot of people just, especially in this world we live in with the cell phones, it's just point and shoot and go. But you can really get, a decent quality video on a consumer camera if they just go through the right steps. How to white balance, rule of thirds they learn, all these little things on how to shoot a video that's going to make it look good, where using the tripod to keep it stable. And from there we use a nonlinear editing system, which is Final Cut 10, and they get to go and they're editing, they're dragging titles, they're moving clips left and right. Whereas, going back 20 years ago, it's the old tape-to-tape reel. You have to go stick one tape in, up if you didn't like that. You have to go rewind back. Everything is instant cuts. They can cut up to pretty much 1/30th of a frame, which is pretty wild. So students have a lot of control over that, and that's what they learn how to do. They kind of go through the different projects where they're going to incorporate usage of the camera, with all the different shots and angles, and how to edit video. And it's pretty cool to watch the students, once they get it and they start going through stuff, and you can see them kind of show their creative side.
Yeah, it seems like, I used to have, when I got married 450 years ago, my father-in-law taped the wedding, and he had this big reels and film and everything else. And when my kids were smaller, I had the heavy one that used to kill my shoulder, and because we wanted to take all kinds of pictures of the first kid. By the time you get to the third one, nobody cares. Nobody wants to look at their pictures anymore.
Poor Frankie.
I was the third one too. So, but yeah, it's come a long way, and so now you're teaching them the video production, the video production, and now you put this stuff on the TV, and a lot of the stuff that you see on this channel 19, is that the education channel?
Yes.
A lot of the stuff that you see is stuff that's done by the school that Nick brings down to the station here and plays, some of that stuff. So that would be the TV production. So you work.
That would be, a lot of that comes from the TV production. Now that the kids know how to use the cameras and the editing software, what we do, we kind of go into the broadcast network of what stations are owned by different syndicates and so forth, like who owns NBC, CBS, who gets into that. We do commercials for that. We learn how to broadcast the news from a reporter standpoint, so we can get them prepared for the advanced TV class. And that class is really fun because that class consists of mostly doing the high school news. So the kids got to go out. They got to go find their stories. They have to go, get their interviews. They have to edit it. Who's going to anchor the show? Who's going to be, the technical director? Who's going to run the audio switcher? The different cameramen, lighting. And they learn how to do that. And we put that show on usually once every 2 to 3 weeks in the high school. And that class, it's a nonstop and it requires a lot of extra hours outside of the classroom. Where you said about the content, students will go off, I make them go film various games. There's a requirement they have to film, each 2 to 3 games, a marking period, whether it's, soccer, football, basketball, hockey, softball, baseball, track, lacrosse, whatever. Each sport's got to get touched upon because we also put on a sports center that we call the Thunder Center. Twice a year we do a fall, winter one and a winter, spring one. So it's pretty fun.
So none of them, I don't remember any of them ever interviewing the assistant baseball coach.
No, maybe we should do it. We'll work on
Yeah,
that.
I think that would be a good interview.
I think it's great.
Doing that. But how many kids do you have in the program? From
In the program, obviously the intro classes are a little bigger. Well, each class is usually between 15 and 20 kids. And same thing, we'll go into the TV production one. The advanced TV one, due to the amount of work that needs to get done, it's a little smaller class. We usually kind of limit it to 12, and it's for mostly upperclassmen and the occasional underclassmen that kind of shows, a lot of potential, because we don't have, we mostly do the news. So what we got to do, we can't make the news 20 minutes long every other week due to that. So we kind of have to limit it to, the select few kids that have taken both the intro and the secondary class in order to take it. But it's a high demand class.
So how many actual classes are there? There's the intro,
There's the intro, then there's the intermediate class, and then there's the advanced.
and then we just go through all of this stuff that you just mentioned in that class, but at a heightened level.
Yes.
As
It's more of a independent. They're there. I'm there monitoring. I mean, we have certain guidelines we go through with them that I teach them kind of to fine tune their skills, but it's a lot of the news. It's what other teachers want. If administration wants a video for this, we put things together, we come up with a class project, and there it is. So it's a lot of on the fly things that go on. It's very it's fun because it's something new all the time.
Now, how do you keep up with all the changes that I mean, I'm sure in this, like you mentioned earlier, in this type of a situation, things change. The different techniques change. The different equipment changes. How do you keep up? Like coaching, which I didn't mention, and I know if I don't mention that, you'll be very disappointed. This was Nick's first year as the varsity girls softball coach, and in his first year, he won the Shoreline Championship. So that's kudos to you on that.
Thank you very much. Girls played hard.
And I know, the girls were doing a hell of a job, but to win a Shoreline Championship first year, that's pretty commendable. But in coaching, we have to go back and take refresher courses and all that. How do you keep up with all the changes and all this stuff?
Keeping up with the changes, you got to stay active with what's out there with the new equipment. I'm always getting email updates. This is the new equipment. This will do that. So I'm always kind of reading into that. What I do as well, I go to this one conference a year. It's all video production teachers in the state of Connecticut, and we kind of bounce ideas off because we're North Branford. We're a small town, but there's a guy from McMahon High School out of Norwalk, and they're a bigger school, so they could do a lot more with what they get for equipment with their class. So we kind of bounce off ideas. How can you do this on a in a smaller school and so forth? So that's one way. You're trying to keep up with the new equipment. That's the toughest thing because obviously as things are newer, it's more expensive, and you only have X amount of dollars to spend. What we have done from my first year to now, we used to use the mini DV tapes, which were outdated, those small ones, and now we've gone to all SD cards. So now uploading video is seamless, and editing, you know, there's not really, we have to worry about the tape getting ruined. That's a big improvement, because if a kid goes and films a football game, the football game could be 3 hours. To upload that football game, he'd have to play that whole tape for 3 hours in real time. Now with the SD card, we can have it uploaded within a few minutes, have it edited.
Other than the equipment and the technology changes, we won't tell your age, but you went to school a few years ago. What are the differences like between when you were taking the course and now that you're teaching the course? Are there more kids involved? I know my son was involved in a little bit, but this course, just to clarify, this isn't like an extracurricular thing. When I was in high school, okay, you want to take Italian during your second lunch period or something. This is an accredited course, and it's part of the curriculum for the kids, right?
Yeah, this is an elective course they can take. It's part of the tech ed group of studies that we offer at North Branford High School. And so if a kid wants to take video production, he could take that. He could take construction, automotive. That's in that same type of group. And like all those classes offer, they're all hands-on, which is cool. So North Branford High School has something to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, I was mentioning before, I was interviewing Scott Schoolmaker today for an article for the paper, and you know, he's proud of the fact that North Branford has added in the past years the agricultural and the auto mechanics and things like that, so that there's more interest for kids. Why would I mean, we have some parents watching this show. Why would I want to convince my son or my daughter to take, you know, your classes?
Well, it's something different. You know, you're kind of getting away from the norm of, you know, your core classes, and it's a hands-on experience. And with the technology, like with the internet, everything is growing so fast. People taking videos. You can see whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever other type of social media. Kids always have their phones out, and they're always filming something.
And getting in trouble.
And they're getting in
doing
trouble
that
for it,
class,
or
yeah.
you know, doing it for themselves, whatever. But this way, they're going to learn how to take video. You know, if a kid wants to take it from his iPhone, that's great, but the quality is only, you know, you can only do so much with that. It's like, here's a real camera. Take it. Oh my God, this looks great. You know, this camera has this to offer. I can do a little more. I can be creative now. I can make a movie, you know, with my friends. You know, I could do all these different projects kind of on your own. And cameras, really good ones, aren't that expensive, which is a good thing for the kids. So if, you know, for a Christmas present they want to get something, they know how to use it. And that was a perfect example from one of my students that I had this year. He liked the class so much, he bought a camera, or his parents got him a camera for Christmas, and he came in, he was thrilled, and he would use that to even film. He brought that in. So it's pretty cool to see a student get excited over something, because everybody does video now with the cell phones. Now you can do it on a level that might be a little bit more professional if you can.
Yeah, I find that even with the stills that they send me from the newspaper, they'll send me a picture for the paper that they took on their cell phone. And yeah, it's nice to show somebody, yeah, this is my grandchild, or this is somebody getting an award at the high school. But once you try and put it in the paper, and it's blurry and it's pixely. I mean, I have an expensive camera for the paper, and I have no idea how to use it, I'll be honest with you. I do the same thing. Would you say shoot and click or something?
Point and shoot.
Point and shoot. I have no idea. What comes out, and people are yelling at me, but you know, it's an individual thing. What are some of the projects? One of the things we should mention, you know, some of the projects you're going to do for the upcoming year, and we should mention that, or the president of TotoketTV will shoot the both of us, that TotoketTV has started this year, and Nick is going to incorporate it into his curriculum. We're starting to give scholarships to kids in that program. So what are some of the, you know, the different things you're going to do towards that, and also as part of what you're doing this year?
Well, we kind of teamed up with TotoketTV since, we're both on the board, and to come up with a video contest for the students. And with this video contest, the ultimate prize is scholarship money. And the cool thing about this, students can get together. This is for the kids that are taking the courses. And this is going to go to the advanced kids because they have the prior experience with working with both the cameras and the nonlinear editing system. So the contest is going to consist of 3 parts, and the first assignment is going to be a short movie. And in that short movie, it's going to be about 5 minutes long. They're going to have to come up with...
Oh, wow, I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, that's great.
Right there on the
right
thing.
on the screen there. Boy, surprises. And go ahead.
That's great. The short movie will be about 5 minutes long. It will follow a rubric that I'm going to have for my class that they'll have to go through. But it's going to have to apply to the standards of my classroom and TotoketTV standards. No copywritten music, because I know like kids listen to a ton of music and they want to add that in. But if we're going to show this stuff on public access, we can't have that. So that's one newsflash that we have to tell them that we can't have that. But we always have music in the bank that they can use if they want to set the mood or tone of their movie. That's pretty cool because kids have experience making a short movie. They learn how to do that in the first video production class that they take. The next contest, the next group of projects would be the PSA contest. And the PSA contest, which would be a public service announcement, like you'll see like the old ones in the days, this is your brain on drugs with the egg. That's like probably the most popular. That's only about 8 seconds. But this one will be about 55 seconds, and it will follow my PSA rubric that I have come up with, and along with a TotoketTV standards that we could show. And they're going to, run a PSA, whether it's on eating healthy, no texting and driving, no drinking, driving, being active, any sort of, drug abuse, all that stuff. Those are possible ideas to do a PSA on. And then the following story, the last one, would be a human interest story. It will be kind of like a reporting, maybe like a small 60 minutes style interview. The final story that will either be school related or related to the town, and they must get 2 separate interviews. They'll follow our T-Bird News rubric, and the piece will be at least 2 minutes long, including 2 interviews, and they'll have to follow the standards as well. But the cool thing about that is that the kids will team up in groups of 2, let's say, and each one that they do, they'll be with their group, and it will go by me. I'll have to approve their projects in order to get brought to the board. So a student has to do, a fairly, bang up job, which they should have no problem doing. And then what we're going to do, we're going to give them a grade on each one. Let's say if there's 5 groups, grade them 1 through 5, and at the end, whoever has the most points, they're going to get the scholarship, and they're going to split them between, whether if it's a sophomore and a senior, or, 2 juniors, whatever, that scholarship money is going to get split between them. So grade does not matter.
So parents who've seen this, it's been on the screen for a while now, and one of the things Scott even mentioned today in our interview is that one of the things he's working on this year is improved communication with the parents. So I'm sure they're going to communicate these things with you, but if you're watching this show and your student is taking one of these courses, if some of the communication falls through the crack, just know that these things are available for them through Nick's class. We've got about 4 minutes left,
All right.
and I'm going to, if you have anything to add, go ahead and add it. But Nick is also as he said, he grew up in North Branford, and he's got his North Branford. I don't think I've ever seen him without a North Branford T-Bird. He's like he's like a walking advertisement for North Branford school system and for the town of North Branford. Just briefly, some of the other things that, and he's an example of our teachers, but we do have other teachers that are like that. Some of the other things that you do in town besides your paid job, which is to teach.
Well, Like you said before, I do coach the girls softball team. This was my first year as the head coach. I've been a part of the program since 2009 as an assistant. So to get the head coaching job, that was pretty exciting. And like you said before, we did have a great season. Girls played hard. That was a big thrill. It's really awesome to watch them celebrate a victory. That's probably, that makes it all worthwhile to see them celebrate, that moment that they will never forget. That's one thing I do. Let's see, I've worked with the public works before. When I was younger, I worked with the custodians. You said about the substitute teaching.
Announcing basketball games.
I'm part of, yes, I do the basketball games. I'm the PA announcer there, and I do the scoreboard, and I'm also a volunteer coach for the boys basketball team as well. And do security at the football games or any other games. I do the soccer games for the PA system, boys and girls, and field hockey as well. So yeah, I'm very involved, which is something nice to do, kind of giving back to the community and so forth.
And last but not least, what's the big, as a teacher, what are you most proud of? What's the most rewarding thing as you're doing this? Other than your paycheck, which isn't as rewarding as other, you might have got more staying in public work.
I might have, I don't know. You're probably right, actually.
What's the.
The most rewarding thing, let's say, perfect example. Last year, one of my prior students from a couple years ago contacted me, and he goes, "Can you send me all the videos that I did, because I'm going to apply for a videographer job on campus at the school he's going." Nate Hugert actually is the student. And I sent him all the videos, and he called me up. He's like, "I can't thank you enough. The people were very impressed with the videos that I did, the videos, all the things that I were taught." He goes, "I couldn't have done it without you." That right there, that makes teaching worthwhile. You can ask all the teachers as well. If a student comes back and thanks them, that makes teaching worth it. I still have other students, just like Nate, Mike Juarez, did a phenomenal job on projects, and he'll come back or stop in every now and then and says, "Thank you very much," where he's going to school. He's like, "You really helped me find my niche," because, some of the kids will come in, they'll take it, they won't realize if they're going to like it or not, and then they kind of just run with it. And that was what the kid Mike did, and he went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, loved it, and, moved on from there.
So it seems like you found your niche as well, and
Yeah.
North Branford is actually better for it. And
Thank you.
so, we thank Nick for being here today. We also, again, want to let you know that TotoketTV is in working with the school system.
Absolutely.
There's going to be other announcements made within the next 3 or 4 months of things that TotoketTV will be doing
Absolutely.
for the school system.
Very exciting,
which,
too.
Which are
Very
exciting
exciting
things
for the
kids, for us, and hopefully, more kids will get involved, and we can be, North Branford High School can be the school for every kid. And we can keep them in town because we have a lot to offer, and it's a great town. So
Absolutely,
I thank
totally
Nick
agree.
for being here.
Thank you.
I thank our director, Michael Cummings, and until next time, be good, have fun, and we'll see you down the road.
Absolutely.